13th, and it just allows the Ferrari to just breeze past the Renault.
Holtzman is in the lead of things on the last lap.
He's all over the gearbox to the AlphaTauri. Matt slowing down to let these guys. Vickow's got into the back of the back marker. He's out.
Really tight. There's a move. Here goes Dirk on the inside into turn one. A little bit of a bump. There's a big issue. There's a massive snap. Cactus is off. Dirk has just slid all the way into turn two.
But Yam is obviously pushing right now. He's using a lot of ERS here. He wants to get this move done as quickly as he physically can, and he does get the move.
This can be really dangerous on turn 3 on the outside goes Adam. It's a very good move.
The engines are revving, the lights are on, the look down to turn one is giving these hearts an extra beat, Unicorn, and things are about to go dark.
Fear goes on hell on the inside into turn one on the racing board, and look at the traction strip.
And as Azir now weaving across the line is going to take the win here in Montreal.
Don't tell me he's going to go for it. Oh, yes, he is. What a move, Unicorn. Put that to music.
Here we go. The Misfits are back.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is time for Thursday racing. It is time for the MRL Tier 1 Racing Division. My name is Stryfium. Joining me for all of the action, as always, Unicorn. How you doing? We are back in Monza.
Yes, Jeff, thank you. Monza, Tier 1, the Temple of Speed meets our fastest drivers, and obviously, well, we've had a dramatic week so far. Yesterday, the rain came pouring down here, only in the race, not in qualifying, so that caused a little bit of trouble for some who were using dry setups. So they obviously didn't look at the weather report and had already gone out on track, but we'll see whether Civil and Dynamics hit the Tier 1 division today. But whatever happens, there's so much overtaking available here at the Temple of Speed, and it just makes things so enjoyable to watch. Every race this week has had plenty of action, plenty of drama, and that's what we want to see. So hopefully tonight is no different, and obviously it's with the fastest drivers we've got as well.
Yeah, it's a really fast lineup tonight. Of course, we're here for the 5th round in Italy. Next week, we will not be with you for racing action for the official championship. We may have some events and things like this, and you can find information on that in Discord and Twitter as they come available. But of course, we are going to be on a break week, which means that we will be waiting 2 weeks before we round ourselves back into racing around Suzuka in Japan for round 6. Following that, it will be Britain. Then we go to Azerbaijan, Hungary, Singapore, as well as France, Spain, Austria. We head on over to Mexico, and then we go through to Brazil, and it's going to be a great season of action, as we've already seen some great battles in this racing league all season long. Now we have Shenjay at the top of the Time and Star, 65 points for him. Candy King, 50 points in the Red Bull, and Brain Stew, 36 points in the Alfa Romeo. See, they are very tight up at the top, and you can see Brownie 1 point. 1 point separating him and Brain Stew right now. Remco Van Putten running out our top 5 with 30 points. He's 5 points behind Brownie. AlphaTauri, Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, in that order, the same as the drivers, are in top for the constructors, and every constructor on the grid getting points. However, Moon and Larsen, they are not getting any points yet so far. Larsen scoreless, Moon scoreless. We'll see if they can change that today. And well, with that, we're just about ready to go racing here in MRL round 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we have got everyone already in the lobby, so a big shout out to all of the drivers for getting in nice and quickly, as we just wait to get that message sent out to everyone, get them all ready up, and make sure that, you know, they're ready to go, because obviously we are. But here we are, a minute before we're set to kick off. And well, the thing about Monza is, Jeff, is that the strategy here, usually a pretty simple one. You don't often see too much of the hard tire. It's usually just the soft medium one stop. And as such, you know, the rain that we saw yesterday, that makes it a little bit more interesting. Obviously, the safety car yesterday was very well timed for the wet to intermediate switch. But if you get it at an awkward time, if we see that same sort of dynamic today, but the safety car comes out or maybe doesn't come out, that's when, you know, some creative strategies might pay off. But we don't usually get to see that around Monza. But hopefully, if we'd had yesterday's conditions without that well-timed safety car, it would have been, you know, an enthralling strategy battle. Obviously, we had some excellent fights regardless of that fact, and we had a few issues as well. But we'll see what happens here this evening. As everyone is now ready up. 20 seconds on the clock.
Oh, 10 now, counting down. I'm really keen to see if we get that dynamic weather roll of the dice. And we saw it yesterday, as you mentioned, for the Tier 2 division. A lot of the drivers, I imagine, after seeing that race, probably not wanting to go through the same conditions and the same kind of trials.
Yeah, and obviously the dry conditions, it's what everyone sort of practices. Even, Jake, we had him yesterday. He knows Monza so much, hasn't had the time necessary to put into this new game just yet. And obviously with the new sort of performance patch, etc., things have changed. So it does, lend itself better to the drivers when you get these dry conditions that you're more used to. You have, if you only have a little bit of time every week, you're going to put that practice into a dry session. So if you get rain, it can be a little bit unpredictable. You might not have as good of a setup. So there might be some sort of problem with the lobby. So we might have to get that fixed here. But we'll have a moment to make sure that it is an issue before we have to restart.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happened there. I'm not sure what happened, if there was an issue. But there is a restart. We'll get that dialed in a moment. Clear-cut weather here for qualifying, you can see, though. No rain coming out of the non-existent clouds that we don't see with the clear skies. So we will be first out of this pit lane here now. Bird-X on the medium compound tire and the Williams. Okay.
Yeah, we might have a slight problem with the restart. Yeah, we are going to have to restart the lobby, unfortunately. I think.
It's good that these happen before. What is that sound issue that is giving me now? My oh my. I don't know what happened there, but we are going to get a restart. Well, better now than later. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want, to be halfway through a session and then have to restart the lobby. But now we're, getting it redialed in. The lobby already having been remade, and we'll hope everyone trickles in nice and quickly, of course. But as always, apologies for when these issues arise. There's not, when these things are out of our hands, there's not a lot we could do, but we appreciate you all bearing with us.
Big shout out to Mr. Hanners coming in with the resub tier 1 for 7 months. Thank you so much for the support, and thank you to everybody in the stream who has been viewing along, of course, for all of the seasons that we've had from past. And we've had now 4 seasons, 3 broadcasted seasons, but we're in our 5th now. So thank you so much for the support.
Like we said, we just got to get everyone back in, of course, and once everyone is back in.
Big shout out to XTXP for the raid. Thank you very much, XTXP. Welcome in, welcome in. We're just about to get going into qualifying here. We just had to get ourselves into a bit of a lobby restart, and everyone will get dialed into their vehicles, and we'll be back into things momentarily.
Yeah, everyone already rejoining nice and quickly here. We're just obviously pinging out the invite so that everyone's got a way in if they haven't already found their way into the lobby yet.
All right. Let's see here. We should have everybody in. We're just waiting on one more driver to get into their car. Let's get our... So, something happened there. Someone might have just disconnected. Or...
Yeah, I think we're missing just one final person here, it looks like. Once we've got them in, we can obviously get things restarted here. And hopefully it's not too long until they're able to reconnect. I don't know, whether it was a game crash or whatnot, but there we are. We do have 20 drivers back into the lobby. And as such, hopefully this one goes a little bit smoother than the previous lobby.
Well, it is our 6th Italian Grand Prix of the week now. 7th, if you include the Endurance Series that we had last Saturday for the Real Formula One World Championship. And, well, it's been a very, very exciting week of races. We've had some very dynamic drives. We've had some wet drives. We've had some long tire stints. And we've had some safety cars as well with some crashes through some notable turns like Ascari, of course. And, well, now we're going to jump into qualifying once again. I do believe it's going to be clear-cut weather throughout, so everyone will have their dry running, and I imagine for a Tier 1 division, there's going to be a big sigh of relief for everybody with that, as we now come into 18 minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, and 18 minutes of qualifying, plenty of time around this track. It's a, 1 minute 20 sort of lap time. We are going to be in the dry here.
Massive shout out to Mr. Maxim B in the chat, coming in hot with 5 Tier 1 gifted subs. Very, very thankful for that, and thank you so much for the support, Mr. It's Maxim B. Congratulations to everybody that was gifted a sub there, and well, welcome to MRL. We're into the qualifying, 18 minutes to go now for all of these races to get their best foot forward. And another gifted sub to Mr. Bitto, and well, that is very, very kind indeed. Thank you so much, Maxim B.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see, that kind of support, and obviously just the support as well for everyone watching along and for sticking with us there on the lobby restart, of course. And we are now into a lobby, no issues. We've got 20 drivers on the timing tower rather than 19, which is what we want to be seeing. And it's Verdex out of the pit lane first. He's on the mediums. I think that means Ben will be the first person to set a lap time on the softs. And I imagine, given how close he is behind the Williams, he'll want to get in front here on the outlap to not be held up by the Williams on his first flyer, given that there is that tire advantage there. Ben, of course, in that Ferrari with Settle Week, but it is the home of the Scuderia here, Monza, and we're seeing if any of the Ferraris can do well. Ben, 10 points this season. His teammate Scars is just a 4, and Scars, I believe, has got wheel troubles, and he's not here today. We've got Luke Smith there in place of him, and Jeffrey Richie as well steps in over at Aston Martin for Fred as well. They're the only 2 reserves on tonight's grid. The other 18 drivers are all full-time. Ben is going to slow down to just give a bit of a gap to the Williams of Verdex, who is going to come now across the finish line and start his first flying lap of the session. Again, this is on the medium compound tire, but we'll ride on board with the Williams anyway, flying down towards turn 1. The Retafilio chicane, using all of the curb on the inside, using that sausage curb on the inside as well, which, well, in real life didn't end all too well at the weekend, but here in the game a little bit more forgiving as he comes now through the flat right-hander of the Curva Grande. This long right-hander, full speed through here, almost reaching 200 miles as he gets down to the De La Rogier chicane through there, nice and cleanly in the Williams, just using the exit curbing but not stepping into the gravel on exit. Then into the first Lesmos, nice and clean through there, using the exit curbing there too, and then through the second Lesmos. Could have probably taken it a little bit tighter on the inside, but still clean on the banker lap. DRS enabled now to fly down under the tunnel towards the Ascari chicane. 3 corners that have caught out multiple drivers throughout the week now, And well, it might have just caught out. It's another one. And Verdex, a huge spin, a huge snap. And he spins and Ben just about avoids the Williams there. But my oh my, that's exactly the kind of thing we've been seeing. He almost saved it, but the car just swung out around from underneath him. Here comes Ben, and there is the first valid time of the session, 1:19.781, and Freeware 1:20.2 there from him. So some times already starting to trickle into the lobby.
Brainstew with the disconnect will work to get you back in right away. Mr. Richie coming through at 19.404, best mate 19.802. The time's coming through hard and fast here. Eruption a little bit off the pace given that 23.722. We'll see what we can do and see who we can see come across the line to better the 19.404 coming out of the Aston Martin reserve tonight. Remco van Putten sets a 19.693, the Dutchman, trying to jump up onto the front row next to his fellow Dutchman tonight.
And so I think the other Williams of One Lou might have had a problem coming out of the sky. He looks undamaged as he comes out now of the curve at Alboreto, but again, another problem there for the Williams, so they won't be too happy with how that's going, and they haven't had a bad start to the season. They're 6th in the Constructors right now. But so far, not so good for them, as I mean, that was Magnetar going P2 there in the McLaren 1:19.656, just ahead of Remco van Putten, and he's someone, so he's been doing well in qualifying, hasn't necessarily converted in the races yet. His teammate Brownie up in 4th place right now, but he's only scored 8 points, and well, I think it was Spa Striff where we thought we might see him win the race, but it all just came crumbling down. They are, though, going to go back to their old ways of doing a bit of a tow, and this time through the Curva Grande, and pulling out of the way there is Magnetar as they go into the De La Rocha chicane. Brownie's on the mediums, so I don't know how much this is going to benefit him, because I doubt he'll qualify on those tires, but great to see that bit of teamwork there. Magnetar, sort of the king of the slipstream in qualifying, and around Monza, it's so important.
Massive shout out to everybody in the chat viewing along with the stream this evening. You are absolutely on fire, as is Brownie through Ascari on these medium compound tires. Maxim B coming through with the 5 gifted subs. Again, we have a hype train active, and the support for the league and the community, everybody, just from us to you, thank you so much, as we have Brownie coming through as the newly renamed Curve Alboreto now. The McLaren will be pushing tight to the line. Where will he land himself with the mediums? It is a 20.278, and well, he's within 1 second of everybody here.
And that's on the mediums, and that's a nice time. So we'll see what he could do on the softs, because like I said, I imagine he will qualify on the soft compound. As we look,
pole position for Shenjie, a 19.215. He beats out Richie. That's a solid run there. I'm wondering if he had a tow with Freeware helping him out.
Yeah, and those Avataris 1 and 3 right now, not a bad place to be at all for the team that is leading the constructor standings. And if they get a result like that, they will be looking to hold that down as well, with the only person above Freeware being a reserve. Jeffrey Richie, of course, not a full-time driver here in Tier 1.
A lot of drivers right now on invalidated runs. Brainstew, home Grand Prix for him. Juan Liu is moving in the Williams. Holy smokes, the chat, the viewers, you guys, everybody viewing along tonight, just thank you so much for the support. We've hit level 5. We've had XTXP come through with 5 Tier 1 subs. Maxim is up to, I think he's up to 16 all night now, and absolutely legendary.
Yeah, it's always, very humbling to see that kind of support in the chat. It means the world to all of us, as Verdex Well, there he goes after the issue earlier. Gets third faster, 1:19.483 from him. But yeah, very, very much a huge thank you to everyone, and a huge congratulations to everyone who's, you know, been the recipient of one of those gifted subs.
A lot of traffic here in Sector 3 right now. You can see the Alpine on the rear of the Williams looking to get set. A little bit of a queue going as Ben gets set to go on a charge.
Yeah, again, we might be seeing a little bit of the toe come out of the Mercedes, but I think it's just runs that happen to have coincided with one another because, well, Best Mate's too far back from Eruption, and they're both on flying laps here as they come out of the Curva Grande, but we'll see what happens. Magnetar's back out. We'll see whether he gives another toe to Brownie, who has gone back to the pits and selected the soft tyres and is now coming out on his outlap. So I think we might see a bit of a toe here. Look at the timing here from the McLaren squad. It's just really well orchestrated. It just shows they've practiced this at some point during the week. At least, you know, thought about it, communicated with one another, and Magnetar is going to get a brilliant toe off of his German teammate, and just beautifully done from the squad that got the 1-2 here, obviously in real life this weekend. But yeah, we love to see that kind of teamwork. In 5th place right now for Magnetar. Brownie yet to do a lap on the softs. He looked quick on the mediums though. We'll see whether they can, you know, score a huge haul of points, maybe bring themselves into the front runners in the constructor standing. Currently 4th, but just 6 points behind Alfa Romeo and it's 11 behind Red Bull. So definitely on for that title if they could do well, and the Alpha Tauris have problems throughout the season.
Juan Lu goes 8th quickest here. Ben coming out of the Curve Alboreto now in the Ferrari. It's home turf for the Ferraris. Where can he land it? He will push for, well, a new lap. It appears I was mistaken as he does not come through. And Magnetar, well, we saw the toe. It's good for the front row. He's within a 10th of Shenjie.
Yeah, there goes Yar into 4th place, joining his teammate on the provisional 2nd row. Richie, he's actually down on his lap. He's, you know, half a 10th down on what his personal best is. Brownie now, he's getting a toe off of his teammate, and we'll see what he can do on the softs. Obviously his previous best on the mediums, so definitely pace to find for him, as Magnetar does exactly what Brownie did for him the previous lap as he comes to the De La Roche chicane. A lot of speed carried in, didn't lose control of the car though as a result. Very nicely handled there as he comes out through the first leg into the second one, now using all of the inside curving, but maybe a bit too much because he nearly sent the car around. He does save it, but I wonder how much time that has cost him here. I think the lap's still worth putting in as he's up over almost half a second, as Luke Smith has gone 2nd fastest. The reserve for Ferrari puts in a 1:19.277, just half a 10th off of Shenjie's time at the top. And things really starting to heat up in this stage of qualifying, and we've still got, you know, one run, I should think, from most of these drivers.
Just dancing on the edge there, Brownie, as he comes through the Parabolica, and it's good for 8th, a 19.459, just shy of a second. He went 8/10 the improvement, the McLaren. A very good run. Now it's Moon, yet to set a time in the Haas. Well, he's not going to set this time, but he will begin another run potentially. Maybe not. He's got low fuel light on. He's really been struggling here. Who is that just came behind? It's Mark in the Alpine. He's gone 19.475, just in front of Verdex in the Williams.
Yeah, Shenjie's invalidated his latest attempt at a run as he's having a bit of problem with some sort of traffic here. The Williams there. And him getting a bit tangled brain stew right now. He's flying, and well, I do believe, Striff, it is his home race this evening. Not only his home race, but his constructor's home race as well. Obviously, Alfa Romeo also being an Italian team. And, well, there's a little bit of an invalidation coming through turn 9 in the middle of the Ascari chicane there for him. So, not brilliant from him, but he's still got plenty of time to get one more run in if he decides to come into the pits and get a fresh set of softs on. He could probably even go around again on this set and then go into the pits. But, you know, we want him to be finishing on that podium, I should think. He's 3rd in the championship right now. He's got a win under his belt. We saw yesterday Sindarko almost win his home race, but the safety car had other plans for him. Hopefully, Brainstew has a little bit more of a smooth ride through the race than Sindarko did, but obviously anything can happen here. But currently 5th place, not too bad at all.
On board right now, Williams of Mr. Verdex coming through now the De La Roggia chicane. We've seen some very dynamic racing. We just saw him come through turns 1 and 2 as he began his lap. And yesterday, the run into turn 1 here presenting some very large challenges. The wet conditions as well, they were there playing a role. But we saw a big shuffle of position. We're talking about the Williams. Both Williams lost out dearly in that race start yesterday. Hopefully Verdex, no matter where he lands himself on the grid today, doesn't find himself in similar situation.
Yeah, absolutely. That race start was chaotic, to say the very least, and I'm sure all of the drivers will have, you know, well, they'll know it's Monza. Everyone knows that the Rettifilio chicane on lap 1 is very tricky at the best of times. Verdex going very wide coming out of the curve. Alboreto, well, he's going to swing into the pit lane as a result. I think not happy with that lap, and he's got just enough time to get into the pit lane and get back out again. Drivers are starting to come out on their outlets for their final run. Magnetar's already going, and I don't know whether he might be a bit too close to Brownie. I think Brownie's just about got up to speed, but he is very, very close to the rear of his teammate, and I think they are. Yeah, he's had to pull off just a little bit earlier than he would have wanted there, and they usually pull off just before the De La Roggia chicane, but Magnetar's gone earlier than everyone, just so that they can orchestrate that slipstream, you know, without any time pressure, without any traffic concerns. He's now behind Moon. He's on an outlap, so hopefully that gets out of the way here. But that's not gonna be what heavy Magnetar wants. It's a strong block right there from the Haas, and I'm sure stewards will be having a word with him about that one. As there's contact between him and Moon into the Ascari chicane. Apparently, the chat is saying desync.
Yeah, I don't think.
Unfortunate. I don't think we would have seen that.
Yeah, that was odd. Remco Van Putten now, he is pushing to finish out this lap. He had to navigate the pair of those drivers, and here he will cross with no improvement as he sets another run into motion. Best mate, he is looking to fly right now. Larson, no lap. Moon, well, we saw what happened with him moments ago, and he is on a flyer now, as is Richie.
Interestingly enough, Magnetar just let Brownie through. I don't know whether they just slipstreamed down the start-finish straight instead. That might be the case, but he's just really trying to stay off the line now just to make sure that he doesn't cause any problems here in case it's him that's desynced. As it is the final lap for most people. Larson's invalidated his run. Hopefully he's got enough fuel to go again, but he would have been the first across the line. I think, well, best mate goes 6th fastest to 1:19.427, and that's with 2 lap old softs. So they won't be in the best condition for the start of the race. So let's have a look, see who else is going to be coming through in the next few moments. I think, well, the 2 Red Bulls are on outlaps. It will be one of the Haas drivers, I think. Hopefully, you know, no problems for them. It'll be Remco to the line first. He's currently 14th. He goes all the way up to 5th. Where does his teammate go? 3rd fastest for Moon. The Haas drivers, it took them a while to get there, but they have shot themselves into that top 6. Freeware, where we saw him crash out of the endurance race drift, he's crashed out again out of the Ascari chicane, and that is not what you want to be if you are the German driver. 15th place or lower for him.
Luke Smith, excuse me, 19.02 to the Ferrari on provisional pole position. Shenjie is flying. He was the provisional pole sitter moments ago, and now, well, he will need to do something about the Scuderia Ferrari. in the Scuderia AlphaTauri right now, and well, let's see what he can find through out of Sector 2 in Lesmo 1. A lot of drivers on flyers right now.
Yeah, and you know, Shenjay's one of those, and so is Brain Stew. So we'll see where these two land after all is said and done. Shenjay right now into the Ascari chicane, and he's got through there very, very nicely. The car just dancing through the corners. Looks very, very balanced. Looks like he's in full control with the setup that he's got going there. Just the right amount of slide to get you through with the rotation you need, but not going any further than that to lose control of the car. Here he comes then to the line. Does he retake pole position? No, he doesn't. He does find a bit of time, but nowhere near enough. Luke Smith is clear at the top by nearly 2/10. Brainstew, can he do anything? And his home Grand Prix, can he find pole? No, he can't, but he does move ahead of Remco Van Putten. There was so little improvement there, just over 100ths of a second, but it was just enough to move him up a position. Does Verdex find anything in the dying moments? The Williams, he was the first car we saw out of the pit lane. He was the first car into the wall as well. He didn't retire though. And does he find any improvement here? Hugging the pit wall to the right-hand side, and he goes into 11th place. And that is a pretty strong place to start a Grand Prix from, given that free tire choice. But I think that just about wraps up qualifying for us, Schiff.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's all. No one else able to get any runs across the line. No improvements coming across the line. It's Luke Smith, Shenjay, and Moon, our top three at the end of 18 minutes of qualifying. And while there was a little bit of controversy, some blocking, some issues on laps there, I imagine any of the drivers with issue on those situations will be having the stewards review. But my oh my, what a qualifying and what a grid we have ourselves here for Italy. The entire grid separated by a second. And, well, pretty well the entire grid separated by half a second, if we're honest. This is a very intense race about to unfold in front of us here for the Tier 1 Misfits Racing League division. Now we have another issue, as there's been a host migration. I don't know if we're restarting to try and avoid desync or not, but
I do believe that's the case. We have got, you know, like you said, there's that. We saw a couple of cars just being on other people's screens, evidently where they weren't on others, and just to try and avoid that in a race. So that we're going to get a fresh lobby here, as this new patch, we keep mentioning it this week, has really not been kind to us, has it, Striff? But we're doing our best to sort of mitigate this, and it does cause these little pauses, of course, where we get these, you know, restarts in between rounds and things like that, in between qualifying the race. But honestly, at the end of the day, we want the racing to be as good as possible, and we want everything to be, you know, as fair as possible. And if you've got, you know, a desync car on your screen, you don't want to be having that to deal with that in the race, especially with how tricky it is. But the new lobby is up, so we'll get everyone into here as quickly as we can, of course. But again, thank you for your patience, and hopefully this thing sort of gets fixed over the coming few days. And we've got a break week, so hopefully Codemasters can release a few patches for us just to fix things. That this new sort of performance patch, this sort of first major update we've had in the game, fixes itself.
Well, exactly that, and we have that break week, and hopefully that will give us an opportunity to maybe get away from these issues that we've been dealing with this week, and kind of get a little bit of a reset. You never know.
There we are, the lobby already filling up nice and quickly here. We've already got 15 drivers back, and well, hopefully the others rejoin as quickly as possible. The notification has gone out and been sent to everyone, so they know what is going on. And again, for the drivers, it's not nice to be, you know, flying around lobbies, etc. But of course, we want them to have the best racing experience.
Yeah, we want to make things as enjoyable as possible. I think that's the goal. We want to have fun races. We want all the drivers to enjoy themselves. Of course, it's very competitive, and tensions and emotions can run high when you get to this level, and things are as tight as we saw in the qualifying. But ultimately, we want everyone to enjoy themselves and have fun. And if there's issues in the lobby that we might even be able to rectify, given there's decent enough time to do so, then I think that's the best choice, and I think that's what we're trying to do here. Turn 1 in Monza, very difficult turn. You have a lot of issues that we've seen maybe this week that were caused by desync, but even then, when we don't necessarily know, right, Unicorn, when an issue is or isn't desync until after a race. Very frustrating in itself. We do try to give the best experience possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're just waiting on one more driver now, and once we've got them in, we can go racing. And of course, we're not going to be doing qualifying again. The grid will be set by the lobby host, and we're ever grateful. It's Ben today, tier 1 manager, and a big shout out to everyone behind the scenes as well for making the MRL run as smoothly as it does. But obviously that takes a little bit of time, so once that's been ironed out, now that everyone's in, of course, you need all 20 drivers in order to set the grid accurately. But once that's happened, we can go into the race, see how things go. And of course, we are expecting a dry campaign. There's no rain on the horizon. And as such, again, that sort of brings in the simplistic soft medium strategy, or medium soft, depending on what you decide to start on, because it will be free tire choice outside the top 10. The top 10 themselves, though, they get a little bit of an advantage on this, because whilst they have to start on the tire they qualified on, which is, of course, the softs, they will get, rid of the wear that they put on them in qualifying.
There is a new lobby for anyone that is just tuning in. We are trying to... What's the word I'm looking for? Navigate a bug.
Trying to avoid it, taking hold of the race. It had a little bit of problem with it there in qualifying, and as such, we don't want it to, get its grips on the race as well, because we've seen, even with an undesync lobby, how tricky turn 1 and turn 2 can be here. But obviously, we just want everything to be smooth. So we'll see what happens here. We've got everyone back in. It looks like the countdown timer is starting. And, well, once that's, counted down to 0, we'll be in the race.
Park Fermate enabled to the extent where we want those top 10 on the same tires they qualified on. Going to be interesting to see if anyone has that issue. I remember we had that issue in America's Tier 1 earlier this season, where we had to do a restart. Saw Zamis pick the wrong tires, and he did as best as he could to kind of just... He kind of gave himself a pit lane start, I guess is the way I'd put that. He kind of dropped himself to the back of the grid knowing what he had done.
And obviously mistakes do happen, and as long as the drivers, you see it all the time when, desync sometimes teleports people to the front and they give those positions back, all of these things, sometimes it's out of your hands, sometimes it's a mistake, but either way, as long as everyone brings in that great sportsmanship that, the drivers here in MRL have, you see those sort of rectified on track, and we don't even have to do anything about it. And that's always, very helpful from our point of view, and also just great to see that there is that level of sportsmanship and respect for each other on the track, because we've got 10 seconds on the clock, and we're finally getting to the race. 2 restarts, 1 qualifying session later.
Yeah, we've had our little share of stop and go moments in this campaign to get everybody situated for the 27 laps of racing, but I think now we're just getting everybody in there. You can see 10 drivers up top. They're all on the softs back through the bottom 10. Nobody on the hards, 5 drivers on the softs in the back 10. So it will be 15 drivers, of course, on the softs with another 5 on the mediums. It will be Verdex, Ben, Jayak, Candy King, and Dimitri all on the medium compound tires, with the rest of the grid on the red-walled softs. It's a great lineup, a very good lineup. I have to say, I can't be disappointed with what we have on pole position. It is a Ferrari here in Monza around home. Luke Smith taking pole position, as we have a bit of an issue between Mark and Jayak there with a DSQ to the grid. something that we haven't seen too much this season, but it's always unfortunate when it does happen. Jonathan Shen. What was that?
I don't know what happened, Striff, because Larson appears to have disconnected. Eruption also had a problem going into turn 1 and turn 2, and obviously this is the formation up, so I don't know quite what's happened. I don't know if this is an issue or whether Larson's just had a disconnect here and that's caused the problem, but whatever's happened, hopefully it's resolved before the race starts.
Well, we do what we can to race, and it's very unfortunate. Once again, Luke Smith on pole position with Jonathan Shen on the front row lining up next to him with Moon in the Haas taking up the 3rd position. It is going to be Magnetar in 4th with Richie, of course, in 5th. Brainstew, he will start 6th. Remco Van Putten will start 7th. The Dutchman in the Haas, Brownie in 8th. We have Bestmate in 9th. Yar, he will start this race in 10th in the Aston Martin with Verdex in the Williams on the medium behind him. We have Ben in 12th position. Mark and Jayak with their issue on the grid. Larsen on the rear of Magnetar. You can see there is some kind of desync between them, or at the very least Magnetar is not in session as far as my screen can tell.
Yeah, it looks okay on my screen, but that might be even more concerning, the fact that it looks different on our screens. But we are here, we are ready on the grid, I think, just about.
Alrighty, here we go. Unicorn, take us away. 4-5 red lights here in Monza. Wow, the drivers really went away quick here.
Yeah, Luke Smith, great start. Moon gets straight past Shenjay, who's had a really poor start. Richie is going to get past the McLaren of Magnetar. Magnetar later on the brakes, goes side by side. Shenjay hooks the car around on the first corner, manages to slide it back through in the right direction. Almost caused a bit of a pile up there. There has been an incident further back, but everyone seems to be moving at least at some sort of pace. Remco Van Putten on the rear of Magnetar coming through the Curva Grande. Magnetar had a little look up. Richie's inside, doesn't find it there. Remco with a huge lunge into Della Rocha chicane, finds it beautifully. Brainstew on exit at his home Grand Prix, finds his way through. There's a yellow flag. There's a crash for Bestmate. He's out of this race. And there's a crash as well. Bestmate's on the outside of the Della Rocha chicane. Verdex is in the gravel trap with him. I don't quite know what happened down in the back there, but we're not seeing a safety car yet. We're not even seeing a VSC.
Very intense race start right now. Luke Smith breaking away as Moon and Jonathan Shen have exchanged for that 2nd slot, and Luke Smith will be happy if they start to fight. Magnetar with a bit of an issue, you can tell, as he had that problem, and there's a bit of desync, and you hate to see it, but it has been, unfortunately, very few drivers in the lobby to suffer these desync issues through the past 5 races we've had here around Italy. You can see now Eruption on the rear of Dimitri charging down the rear end of that Honda.
Yeah, everyone just trying to find a way through here. A little bit of separation coming through as there's drivers coming into the pit lane as well, down at the back of things, and no one ridiculously close. There is this train that will become a DRS train when we get that enabled in at the end of this lap, of course. But the front few just sort of sticking together. It's the front 7 right now. Brownie 1.1 seconds behind his teammate, has held station in 8th. Magnetar's dropped 3 places. A terrible start for him, and it was a bad start as well for Shenjay. But Luke Smith, great start, holding on to that lead as well, and we'll see what he can do here throughout the rest of this campaign in that Ferrari. And I'm sure a win here in that car would mean the world to him.
Jonathan Shen under very large threat right now from Jeffrey Richie. The gap between half a second is really kind of narrowing down to less than 3/10 as Richie just trying to find some grip, trying to find some power on the exit here to charge down this AlphaTauri. But it's a big train, a very big train as we enter into lap 3.
Eruption, a great exit out of the curve at Alboreto, and well, he just breezes past the Red Bull here. Does he have the staying power to hold it on the inside? He does have the soft combats and brakes later, confidently on those tires, and will just sneak past, hold 13th place for the time being. Very nicely done from him to take that away from Candy King, but We look further up. Jeffrey Richie looking to put some sort of pressure on Shenjay here for third place, that final podium position. But nothing coming of it just yet.
Yeah, it's really going to be a battery management. It's going to be a strategy management race for these guys behind Luke right now. You can see this train all the way to Brainstew. Brainstew, 6th position for him, of course, is where he began the race as well. Luke and him have held station all race long so far. It's very early days in this race, very early stages, and you have Yar on the rear of Brownie quite tight, Jonathan on the rear of Moon wanting to get that position back. There's some good little battles going on here.
Yeah, very, very tight here between I'd say the top 4, but Moon just 6/10 down on Luke Smith. He'll close that now with DRS down into turn 1, but he's going to need that DRS more to protect himself from Shenjay and Richie behind here, who are steaming down this start-finish straight. Richie has a look around the outside of Shenjay. That won't phase Shenjay too much as he doesn't get alongside, but he's just making his presence known, trying to force a mistake from the AlphaTauri in these opening stages, looking for an early position or two, but again, doesn't find it there, but plenty more overtake opportunities. So the top 6 now starting to break away. Brainstew, Magnetar, they've dropped out of this train a little bit, and they won't be best pleased with that. They'll try and catch up, maybe on strategy, maybe go for an undercut or an overcut, depending on what they think is going to suit them best, or maybe a well-timed safety car will help them out. But right now, the top 5 starting to break away nicely. As this is the top 5, there was a desync car at the top of my timing tower. Apologies for that one, but Luke Smith, he has been caught via the DRS, and as such he's going to have to use a bit of ERS if he wants to stay in lead, or whether he sort of plays the game.
Big snap, a little loose coming out of Ascari, has really exposed him to Mr. Richie now. Richie looking for the inside as we come through the Curve Alboreto, and he will take 3rd position from the AlphaTauri. He's had a big snap. Has that been... Oh, man, I thought he might not have caught that, but he did. And that was extremely close for him. That could have been a race-ending snap had he not caught it, but he did. Now he's looking back at Shenjay. We have the front row seat with Mr. Van Putten, and there goes Richie very deep into turn 1. Jonathan Chen looking for the switchback. Remco Van Putten was looking to get his nose in, and now, well, Yars had a big issue. He drops to Brainstew. Ooh, that was a very narrow miss there on the rejoin as Brownie looks to inherit.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened to the Aston Martin. He took the off track, then decided to cut across the grass. So very, very bizarre there from him. Obviously didn't want to weave through the sort of slalom course that it does give you there on the off track. Meanwhile, Remco Van Putten, like you said, he's on the rear of Shenjay. We've seen this before with Shenjay. Once he drops 1 or 2 places, he sometimes just starts to lose them all. I don't know whether it's because he becomes unsettled. Maybe the car doesn't feel right in the race, and he's building these setups for qualifying. Whatever it is, once he's on a roll of losing positions, he doesn't seem to sort of be able to get back into it, but he's carrying a lot of speed through the Ascari chicane. Can he find a way past Richie here? He can't. And does this threaten him with Remco Van Putten for the overtake from behind? The Haas driver really not letting the leaders go here and looking to try and add to his impressive haul of points so far, and maybe even add to his podium total as well. Yeah, nice move from Richie there to get past Moon. Moon just had a little snap coming out of turn 2, and as such, Richie just took advantage, pushed with the ERS, got through around the outside of the Curva Grande there. As it's still this top 5 raring away with it. Magnetar, Brainstew not too far behind them. But not within DRS range. Luke Smith, Jeffrey Richie side by side, and it's Richie now up into leader things, coming out of the Ascari chicane. And a very, very nice move. Very, very nice lap from him. He started 3rd. He's going to finish it in 1st.
Luke Smith, yeah, not going to be happy to drop position, but he will have a little bit of an opportunity to hold well with Richie. Richie now showing great pace in lead of this race. Moon under threat from Shenjay. Shenjay pushing a touch of that battery. The DRS now coming online for all of these racers heading down into turn 1. Luke Smith looking for it on Richie. Where is the Haas? He's right there on the rear of this, and Shenjay is on the inside of turn 1 and 2. And is he going to get a position from him? Yes, he is.
Oh, and Yar's round, and it's not the first time we've seen him have an issue through the red Ophelia chicane, but he loses to Brownie, and
wheel to wheel between the two Haas's.
Side by side. Oh, it looked like Moon might go late on the brakes on the inside of Shenjay there, but this is going to cost Remco time because he really wasn't in the right place. As Magnetar behind them just loses it coming out of the De La Roche chicane. It goes straight into the wall strip. That's a broken front wing. I don't know how much damage there is, but it looks like a hell of a lot there. And he drops out of the points. It is a completely missing front wing. And again, a great qualifying. And he's just thrown it away with one mistake in the race, it would seem, Striff.
Very, very unfortunate there for him. Right now, Jeffrey, Luke Smith just tangled in this battle where Shenjay is in it, and they don't want to let Shenjay really get too far into it either. We've had another issue this time with an issue outside of Ascari.
There we go, down into turn 1 again for the leaders. So we're going to see any exchanges this lap. Looks like Richie is going to hold it on to second. Shenjay, though, looking to try and take that from him. A little bit of a light tap to the rear of the Aston Martin, but it hasn't phased him at all. And as such, Richie going to continue pushing through the Curva Grande and try and find Luke Smith, but he doesn't here.
It's been a duel between these two, if I'm not mistaken, for a few weeks now. We saw them doing some battle in the Champions Division as well.
There's Shenjay, Richie are side by side, but there's a bit of contact between the two, and Shenjay manages to just keep ahead here. Does this open up Richie to Remco Van Buren, his fellow countryman? Here he comes up towards the Ascari chicane. It's going to be side by side. No, it's not. Remco backs out. And you don't often see that. You don't often hear us saying that, but he has backed out. He doesn't want to cause any problems here. There's a very much desynced Alpine on my screen here. Hopefully Shenjay can't see this, but as they come through into the Curva Alboreto. But there was just contact on my screen between a couple of the cars. There's been a big crash there, but I think everyone is okay on the driver's screens.
Remco really just wanting to get in on this battle. Luke Smith pulling away Jeffrey. Richie now into second position, pulling out in front of Shenjay to kind of get that move and a statement made. He doesn't want to do that too much. I'm going to tell you why. Yeah, he gets a statement made and he kind of closes Shenjay off, but he loses time to Luke Smith. Right now, Remco Van Putten, look at this charge through the inside of Curva Grande. A little bit of a graze there for Shenjay with a desynced car. Oh my, is that decent car ever going for a spin?
Yeah, it's exactly what I saw through the Curva Alboreto, I think. So it was another Alpine. I don't know if it's the same one for you and me, Striff, but Brainstew, you can't fault him. He did a brilliant move coming out of the De La Roche chicane on Moon, and well, Shenjay got passed by Remco Van Putten. I think that has to be sort of factored down to how slow he was coming out of the Rettifilio chicane after his loss of position to Richie, because Richie came through. Shenjay tried to find a switchback, and that put him just such to the wrong angle. He had so little exit speed, and Richie now, like you said, he lost time to Luke Smith, but then he's pushed, and as such, he's got a gap. There's a problem for Eruption. Eruption's off coming out of Ascari. He's still in the race. Is there damage? Yes, there is. There is an end plate missing as Luke Smith comes into the pit. So the Ferrari is in. Brainstew and Moon are going to follow him in.
Here goes Shenjay.
And we'll see how this goes.
Remco on the rear of Shenjay, looking to get that position back from the AlphaTauri. A slight tap on the rear now, and this could really expose the Dutchman to Brownie if he isn't careful. 2 seconds the gap to Richie after the fighting.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Richie wants and what he needs, and we'll see what he can do. On this lap, he's going to have to push to get it all, done with the cars that are coming out of the pit lane. Luke Smith on the fresh mediums, having a little bit of wobble actually out of the Rettifilio chicane. Now coming through the Curva Grande, he's got clear air ahead of him. That is going to be very, very important. also something, Shift, that we haven't really touched on. Brownie has joined this sort of, well, it's not really a train anymore, but he's joined Remco Van Putten and Shenjay here. He's within DRS range of the Haas, and he hasn't really been talked about. He started this race in 8th. He's up 4 places now with the pit lane coming through. As what's happened here down at the bottom of things, the Williams of Verdex is spinning it in the Ritafilio chicane.
Here goes Jonathan Shen. Remco wheel to wheel through the Curve Alboreto now. It's Shenjay on the inside. You can see Remco off wide right now. Both shoot into the pit lane here, and here comes Brownie.
Remco's into the wall. He's crashed into the pit lane.
He might have had to.
That's a front wing change.
He might have been trying to avoid Shenjay there. I thought I had seen Shenjay really slow things down on the way in. He might have locked up on the rear of Shenjay on the way in. I don't know. I didn't catch it. I was following with Brownie as he flew by, and now he is in provisional lead of this.
I think he just maybe just mistaken where the pit entrance was. It looked like he was trying to sort of overtake Shenjay into the pit, similar to what we saw Sebastian Vettel do all those years ago in China, but he just misjudged it wholly and just drove straight into the wall on my screen, and I don't think that's desync.
That is very unfortunate. Ben, Eruption now having an exchange as Eruption on the fresh mediums. Here's a big lunge coming out of Ben. Eruption thought that move was done. Ben says that's not how easy it is, my friend. And I have to say, Ben, pretty entitled to kind of fight this off. Look at the carry of speed now. Curva Grande round the outside for the Ferrari. It's home turf, and you better not just blink when you pass the Scuderia. And look at that switchback now. Eruptions come wide off.
Very unfortunate. He's struggling in the Mercedes. We saw him, you know, come off on a Ascari a few laps ago, and now having problems fighting in those lower positions. Yar into the pit lane. Here we go. We're going to see Richie versus Luke Smith here. The pit window worked beautifully for Richie. He's got 1 lap fresher tires than the Ferrari. Now pushing down onto the inside. Is he going to go for it? No, he's not. He's going to stick behind the Ferrari right now. And there's not a huge difference in ERS. Richie does have more. We'll see what he decides to do here as we move through. Brownie has not elected to pit yet. He's still leading things on 11 lap old softs as Remco Van Putten and Yar are side by side, and they're getting a bit tangled as well. Remember, Remco Van Putten had to change his front wing. Yar's just come out of the pit lane, and now Remco on the rear of him through the Curva Grande. Can he find anything down into the De La Rocha chicane? I think he's too far back. Eruption is out. He has called that one in the pit lane. 5-second penalty for speeding on his way in as well.
All right, now Remco Van Putten. No penalties for him at the moment on the rear of Yar, and Yar wanting to push as well as he can to catch up with Freeware. This grid really has been shaken up with these pit stops now. Richie very tight to the rear of Luke Smith. See, there's a car in front of them. That's Larsen's unfortunately desynced car. See the carry of speed now. DRS on the rear wing, wide open, and there's not much that you can do against DRS.
Yeah, so it's similar happening further back as well. Shenjay just gets past Brainstew in a very similar fashion, and Moon's on the rear of this too. So this fight, it's been split in 2 now. It's Jeffrey Richie versus Luke Smith, and then Shenjay, Brainstew, and Moon fighting as well for what will be, at the end of things, probably the final podium position. And well, Richie and Luke Smith fighting out for lead of things, with Demetrio and Brownie yet to pit, but obviously they could still do well as Verdex has come off out of the Sky chicane. It's exactly where we saw him crash in qualifying. Well, he hasn't even turned there. He's just gone straight back into the wall. Very, very unfortunate for him, and he's getting that car spun around now as Yakak won Lou exchange. And well, I wonder what happened here, because they don't seem to be anywhere near each other on track. I think the Alfa Romeo struggling potentially.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Brainstew, Freeware, Brainstew and Shenjay, excuse me. They are close, very close. It's home turf for Brainstew. It's his home Grand Prix. We know what he wants to do here.
Yeah, Luke Smith, he's just on the rear of Richie in DRS range. He is falling back, though, and we do see this a lot. Richie does try and get into lead of things about halfway through and then break away. Brain shoot, can he come past Shenjay just as Shenjay did a lap ago? Yes, he can. This turn one, you know, DRS down the start for the straight. So powerful. Shenjay trying to stay late on the brakes, try and find a way around the outside of 1 through into the inside of 2. Doesn't work out for him. Moon doesn't find a way through on the American either. But such brilliant battling here for these high scoring positions as the timing tower goes for a little bit of a spin as Yakak is out of the race. And is that on exit of the pit lane?
I don't know where that is. I'm trying to
His car's
find
just
it.
teleported.
I'm trying to find that Alfa Romeo and I can't see it. It is in the pit lane.
It wasn't, but then it was. I'm very confused as to what's happened there. Again, I think this is just the game playing tricks with us. Brain Stew, DRS on the rear of Moon. He's dropped back quite colossally. He's dropped back 2 positions in the last half a lap since we were on board with him. But he doesn't find a way through on the inside of Ascari. He's just too far back there to do anything after his teammates just retired from the race. And well, now all hopes of scoring points at Italy for Alfa Romeo rest on his shoulders.
Here's Dimitri putting himself in front of Richie here. And this is going to be interesting to see how Luke navigates through the traffic as well. Big lunge, a little bit later on the brakes for Luke. He just says, let me through. There goes Dimitri with a bit of contact. Oh, that was very touch and go. And he almost spun that car around.
Yeah, you don't want to be seeing contact between any cars. There's freeway Remco and Pure in exchange. Remco up into 9th, trying to fight his way back through the grid after his problem with the pit entrance. Shenjay, Moon, Brainstew still in the same order that they were last time around, as they fight out for what is currently 5th place.
Another yellow this time. Trying to figure
Not
out
quite sure what for.
Yeah, I'm figuring that was Larsen now coming through that sector, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing anything on One Lu, Remco, Freeway Yard. They all look fine. So, and for me, Larsen is not anywhere near that section of track.
20.985, the fastest lap of contention presently. That was set by Mr. Richie as Brownie is into the pit lane after a long haul on the softs. It's lap 16 out of 27. Luke Smith very tight to the rear of the Aston Martin. Less than 2/10 is the gap between this pair, fighting for the race win.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's still tight between them, but Richie has sort of been just controlling things. He's still got, you know, very even ERS between the two of them, and usually when you've got someone trying to do what he's doing, they do have a bit of a DRS disadvantage, but he has just been managing it so well, as we've seen him done numerous times before. Remember, he is a reserve here as Magnetar Demetriou goes side by side through the Rettifilio chicane. Demetriou on those fresh softs just coming out of the pit lane, muscles his way through as Verdex. He's been having a lot of problems, but he does set the fastest lap of the race. A 1:20.6 for the Williams squad, taking that point outside of the top 10 mark. And Ben exchange through turns 1 and turns 2. And Ben loses onto the exit. He goes off, brings Mark with him. I don't think there'll be any damage for either car. As Verdex, trying to avoid it, slams into the wall. A huge mistake from him. And well, just after he set his fastest lap, probably his highlight of the race, has one of his lowest points as well. Spins back down into last, although I think he's a lap down, so he was always in last. But very unfortunate for him. Remco Van Putten, One lose side by side as they come down into the curve at Alboreto. And late on the brakes for Remco around the outside for the Haas. A brilliant move from him. And he should have DRS as well, I think. Although it doesn't look like that will be the case. I can't see who's got the DRS. Neither one has DRS on my screen, which is very bizarre. But One Lu gonna go up the inside, a little bit of wheel banging between the two as they go into turn 1. The Williams just not able to find the late enough braking point. Remco holds on to 7th with his dear life, and he's just clinging on in there. Freeway Yar putting a lot of pressure on the German ahead of him, but not going to find a way through yet. And 10 laps to go. Things still very, very action-packed here at Monza.
You love to see action carry through this late into a race without the full safety car, Knockwood, and I imagine there's some drivers that wouldn't mind it, and there's some drivers that really would mind it right now, and I think that some drivers that would mind it would be Mr. Richie and Luke Smith, undoubtedly. Of course, DRS now in this train. We have another yellow flag popping up as we have yet again another retirement into the pit lane, and it's unfortunate to see those come through, but when desync and connection errors plague a race, it is unfortunately something that you can see more often than not. Yar now with a great exit out of Ascari, just taking care of business with the German. I don't think Freeware is done with him. Of course, we'll still have to run into turn 1. Freeware looking for that inside narrowly on the rear on the exit out of the Curve Alboreto. Juan Lu in the contention for 7th right now on the rear of Remco. No penalties between this pair now. DRS for Freeware on the rear of Yar. Not enough to really carry enough speed here. Juan Lu, ooh, he's going to get the inside on Remco Van Putten. Remco Van Putten not going to be happy about that. And this could very well expose the pair of them to Yar and Freeware. VSC has been deployed.
We've got a VSC, as again I'm seeing a decent car fly off the track, so I don't think it is as a result of Larson, but because I think his car is very much desynced for the pair of us. But I can't work out what else it would have been for. As Brain's just going to threaten Moon up the inside just in case that VSC ends at a very, very nice time for him. It doesn't.
You don't want to tempt fate too much there. Larson with a 5-second into the pit lane, and usually that's followed up with a retirement. We'll have to see if that is the case. We're back to green flag racing. Knockwood, and notably no drive-through penalties.
And one thing as well is, you know, that when you get those drive-through penalties, it's pretty much race over at this stage of the race. So it's worth taking it a little bit slower, but you have to balance it because you don't want to go too slow and then just get absolutely mugged by the guy behind or lose so much time to the car in front. So it is a balancing act there. Under those VSCs, as Luke Smith has a penalty. I'm assuming he's just picked up a 3-second there in the Ferrari. And it's a 5-second time being penalty. Did he tap Richie under the VSC? I don't know what happened there for the Ferrari. I'll have a little look in the race director.
I imagine that could only be for ignoring a yellow.
It is.
That's the only way I think he could get that, and it must have been... How did he get that?
I think that's just...
Who would it have been?
It must be with a bugged car on his end, I guess. You know, a spun, desynced car. It makes no sense to me that that happens, but there we are. Hopefully he can get that one removed. I think stewards should be, you know, fine with that.
Car that doesn't exist, he's just driving and suddenly he gets handed a penalty. Could you imagine the reaction? I mean, at this point, what the drivers know what's going on. We know what's going on.
And it's a real shame that we have, you know, that we do know what's going on, because that means we've dealt with this problem time and time again. But you know, we have to soldier on, and well, soldiering on the drivers are doing as well. They're all still in these trains, but things have calmed down a little bit in terms of lap after lap overtake, and have started to work together a little bit just to not lose out any more time to cars around them, whether it be in front or behind. But not long to go now left in this one.
Magnetar, well, he's crashed outside of that second Lesmo, at the very least on my screen. Got a little bit of a love tap from his teammate there. We get, you know, it's like a little side comic. You know, you're reading the paper, you're trying to get an idea of the sports scores, and next thing you know, you've got that little sidebar where you see cars colliding and things like that. That's what we're dealing with the desync. You know what I mean? You've got the little funny comic, the funny papers on the side, and that's what happens.
Yeah. Larson's definitely been that for me. I'm not saying anything against Larson's driving. I'm sure on his screen he's doing everything absolutely perfectly. But for me, well, his car has been teleporting all over the place as Luke Smith goes up the inside of Richie into turn 1. Does he find the move? No, he doesn't. I'm sure the Tifosi got their hopes up just a little bit there that their Ferrari would take lead of things, but Richie putting up a stellar defense. They've been clawing back batteries. Wan Lu and Remco van Putten will exchange as well. The Williams up into 7th ahead of the Dutchman. But yeah, it's been a wild evening of racing. Although some of it hasn't been racing, it's been very, very bizarre. I don't know what I'd describe it as. It's been very, very wild.
Yeah,
but
I think
not
wild
to the
is a good
fault of the
word.
drivers.
No,
not to the fault of the
not.
drivers, of course. But it is a little bit of a shame because we have seen some great racing here, and we've still got 6 laps of hopefully more great racing to come here. But like we said earlier, hopefully all of this gets patched in our off week, but one can only dream.
Remco on the rear of Wan Lu now on the exit of Ascari to the outside as we push through into turn 11. It's a drag race. Wan Lu holding out in front right now. Remco not burning as much around the outside for the Haas. Does he find some extra grip? Does he find some extra speed as Luke Smith and Jeffrey Richie exchange through turn 1? You can see this battle right now. Remco really wanting to get some DRS on the Williams, will take advantage and he will get through ahead. Now we jump now, a drag race between the leaders. It's coming into the Della Roggia chicane. How is this going to go? It is Richie leading the Ferrari right now. Of course, 5 seconds for Luke, which is more than likely going to get removed at the end of the race, as we know it was for ignoring a false yellow.
Yeah, great. Again, stellar defensive driving from Richie to hold off Luke Smith, who did get passed through the Rettavilla chicane. Richie just lined himself up for a much better exit, though, and carried the speed out of the corner, through the Curva Grande, and then up the inside into the Della Roggia chicane. So great driving from Richie. These two really showing their skills. They are absolutely incredible. They're on insane form, and well, we're seeing that here tonight. It's been, wonderful to watch them tussle, but they are losing a bit of time to the 3 drivers behind. Again, Shente seems to have dropped to the rear of this train now. It seems to be that every now and again, one of them just drops a little bit, and we don't really see it. Don't really notice it with everything else that's going on in this crazy, crazy race. Luke Smith, another runner. Jeffrey Richie here. Is this the run? Well, he is going to get through into turn 1. Richie earlier off of the break. He's taken a lot of the inside of turn 1. Doesn't find his way through. Brainstew and Moon are going to exchange through turns 1 and 2. The Rettavilla chicane. Moon, well, he does get overtaken, but he might be able to find his way back around the outside of the Curva Grande. They come. The Alfa Romeo on the inside. Home race for the constructor and the driver, but he does slip off of the podium for now as Moon takes 3rd place away from him.
Yeah, great battling we're seeing right now between these racers. And of course, you have that car on the timing tower of Magnetar kind of flying around, shaking up the order. But it is Luke Smith and Richie in a battle right now for the race win. It's all down to podiums as you have Moon, Brainstew, Shenjay all fighting for that 3rd position. No penalties on these cars. Moon with a weave coming into Ascari. Not sure what he was doing. Brainstew says, pick a side, my friend, because I want to move through, but it's not going to be right now. And, well, Brainstew, home race for the Italian. He will want to be on a podium here in this division. Going to be a very, very good finish for him if he can get that done right now. Luke is leading Richie through out of the iconic Parabolica, newly named to the Curve Alboreto. Now, DRS wide open on the rear for the Aston Martin. We are on lap 24 out of 27. Nothing on that rear wing right now coming out of the Ferrari. The one constant has been that everyone's been trying to defend that inside coming through into turn 1, which gives them the outside on the back. We saw Richie try to do some work to get a switchback done. Now we see Luke with great power on exit. He's on the inside through Grande. It's a very nice exit from the Ferrari indeed. Richie not able to do anything this time around.
Yeah, it seems that he's finally starting to struggle a little bit. He is reserving a bit of battery. Shenjay gets past Moon coming out of the Della Roggia chicane. Excuse me. And Shenjay's picked up a penalty as well, as Brainstew starts to leave them a little bit behind. If he can push a bit here, he might break the DRS behind, but most importantly, he might get the DRS ahead, as Richie's going to go up the inside into Ascari, gets that moved on the Ferrari. And if this slows them down, Brainstew could be right here to capitalize. He needs to push now, get himself within 1 second. He is on the power. The other two are reserving battery right now. Brainstew, though, could really help himself out here. He's not going to get it. Luke Smith doesn't get away through into the curve at Alboreto. But my goodness, what a race we're seeing. Penalties starting to appear. Moon's got one now, too. And this means that Brainstew should see himself on the podium.
Here goes the charge now coming out of the Ferrari ahead of the Aston Martin. And this needs to be a clean move. These two cannot fight the way we've seen them fight in turn 1. Couple of laps past, because if they do, Brainstew will hook them. If he hooks them with that DRS, it's going to be a very different race for the last couple of laps. It's 1.1 the second gap right now. And a few moments ago, we saw Shenjay, we saw Moon, Brainstew. None of them had penalties. Now Shenjay and Moon both do, which is very much solidifying a potential podium for Brainstew should he not have an accident.
Yeah, or pick up a penalty of his own, of course. And well, not long left as things stand right now, as 2 laps or 2.5 laps to go, and all these two battles that were separated in the pit window are now almost rejoined here as Shenjay starts to pull towards Brainstew. Moon has a bit of trouble for Ascari. Drops him back a little bit to the cars ahead.
Well, this is Brainstew's worst nightmare. This is Brainstew's worst nightmare. He does not want to be fighting anybody. He does not want to be held up here. He has one focus, and that is the cars ahead of him. Of course, he can maintain this 3rd position, and he'll be fine. He can maintain any position within 3 seconds and be fine for this 3rd. But Shenjay right now is going to be putting up a fight, just as Richie and Luke fight. And Richie taking lead of things. Shenjay taking the lead over the Haas right now. What a penultimate lap we are going to see unfold now. We're on 26 out of 27, ladies and gentlemen, and we have a major fight going down for podium position and race win.
Yes, there's a yellow flag behind. I think Remco Van Putten and Wan Lu might have come together at some point, but I'm not 100% sure. It's the front two now. They're using up that ERS. That's why they're pulling away from Shenjay and Brainstew here. And they're starting to use those reserves. It is the penultimate lap. They want to get through here. Turn 1 on the final lap is going to be very, very important, because it's going to be the last time to get through on the best overtaking spot there is really on this track. Luke Smith has a little look on the inside into Ascari. That would have been very late. He thinks so too, and backs out of the move, but he's so close there of Richie. They've got so much ERS left. Luke is burning off more than Richie, though. He's down 10%. Ooh. As well, they're slowing down. Neither of them want DRS, or neither of them want to give away DRS here. Well, Richie's gone very wide.
This is going to be so costly.
What is he doing?
He wants DRS, and he does not have it. Neither of them have it.
But why did he
Luke's
go wide?
got it. Luke has it, and this is going to really cost him. I don't know what on earth he could have been doing. This is one of those scenarios where you drive the car. You drive as fast as you can, and there's only so many things you can do. And what he just did, ladies and gentlemen, is not what you want to do. Look at the gap growing right now.
Well, I think now his plan is just get him into Ascari. It has to be.
He's got only one option here, and that is to get himself tight through Ascari and have the best exit of his career.
Well, he can either go for it into Ascari, which I think he's going to be too far back from him. He's nearly out of DRS range here. The other alternative, well, there's two. You can go on the inside into
Wan Lu Remco.
Alboreto.
What a battle we're seeing through the chicane right now. Remco Van Putten wanting to hold on to 7th position. Wan Lu says, I want 7th position. Luke, here we go. How's the exit for Richie? Does he have enough speed here? He has a good exit. He's utilizing all of that battery now. It's a drag race coming into this. Well, not really. I have to say, I think that Richie really shot himself in the foot. I have to say.
Well, unless he gets him here to the line. I think he's too far back, though, by a country mile. And at Monza, the Ferrari wins. Well, at least on track. We're not sure where that penalty is going to put him. I think it will get removed, but that's not for us to say. That's up to the stewards. It's a podium nonetheless for the Scuderia. Richie now sits atop our timing tower, and it's Brainstew at home for the Italian in the Italian car. P2, maybe P3 with the penalties, but what a wild evening of racing. We've got Shenji in 4th, Moon in 5th, Brownie 6th, Wanlu in 7th, Remco Van Puyen after a terrible bit of luck with the pit lane. We're not quite sure what's happened there for him. He finishes 8th, so a few points for him. Freeware gets a couple of points in 9th. Candy King gets 1 singular point for Red Bull, who are runners up right now in the constructors standings. And well, that means AlphaTauri are going to storm away with a bit of a gap there, but Alfa Romeo, I think, will overtake Red Bull now. But what a wild evening of racing that was. And, well, we appreciate you all for sticking with us throughout all of that with the issues, the desync, the lobby restarts that we had to do. But, of course, stick around when we get interviews with hopefully all of the top 3 in just a moment. But there is Jeffrey Richie, of course, enjoying the top spot of the podium, although that might, after penalties are reviewed by the stewards, get gifted back to Mr. Luxon in that Ferrari, who's there in 3rd right now, with obviously that penalty being picked up, we think, at least unfairly, on a desync back marker.
Wow, what a race it was, what a race it was, and what a race to the end, what a race to the checkered flag. Jeffrey Richie, Luke Smith, an absolute battle in the end there, Brainstew. Well, the Italian getting himself on the podium. We're going to hear from these 3 in just a few moments. It was Jonathan Shen. He started on the front row, but he lands himself 4th position. Moon, 3rd to 5th. It was Brownie, 8th to 6th. Juan Liu, what a drive. 17th to 7th, all things said for him. Remco, he put up a stellar fight in this one. 7th to 8th is where he lands, and it was Freeware, 16th to 9th to collect a double points finish for the AlphaTauris there. And Red Bull, 18 to 10 for Candy King there. A very, very good race. A very good race. And, of course, AlphaTauri, the only team to collect double points finish outside of Haas there. Just a really solid race overall. Very, very happy with this one. And we're going to get interviews in just a moment's time. Big shout out to Mr. Vegzit for the raid. Thank you very much for that. And we'll hope to talk to you in just a quick moment there and get these interviews all dialed in and squared away.
Absolutely, but what a race that was there. Up at the front, fighting for podiums, fighting for points, and, well, we'll see what happens, of course, with the stewards post-race. Of course, they've got a lot on there played out. There's a lot to sort of unwind, untangle there with potential unfairly gifted penalties. But for the guys up at the top, some positions gained there on, throughout their race, the strategy as well, really boding well. Richie, we saw, Luke Smith come in a lap earlier than he did. Richie stayed out 1 lap longer. Worked out pretty nicely for the Aston Martin in the end. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can get an interview with either of those in a moment. It does look like we'll get a word with Brainstew, of course, his home race. I'm sure he's elated with the podium. Whether Luke Smith gets it redacted or not, it will be P2 or P3 for Brainstew regardless. So here, podium nonetheless at home for the Italian and at Monza and the Alfa Romeo. That's got to be a good feeling. Of course, Luke Smith up on the podium for Ferrari as well. So the Tifosi definitely got given a show that they would want to be witnessing. But hopefully we get a few interviews coming through in a moment. But like I said, we definitely have Brainstew. Whether we get Luke Smith and Richie, we'll have to just wait and see.
Alrighty, let's see if we can get our interviews going here now. It is joining us, well, it is the home Grand Prix for this man right here. It was a very stellar race, I think, all things said and considered. Mr. Brainstew, congratulations on the podium finish. How are you feeling after this race?
This is crazy. I mean, coming into the race, I didn't expect to. I was just looking forward to finishing the race. The curves in this track are just deadly, and I just wanted to finish the race. And coming onto the podium, I didn't expect it at all. I knew quality wasn't going to be good because I knew my pace wasn't that great. Anyway, P6, normal start, and just a big train, and then I undercut a few people and from there I just managed the race, and also Luke and Jeffrey. Luke, the penalty. I don't know if it will get removed, but I'm very happy with the P2.
It was a really, really good finish for you in this one after a very turbulent... No safety cars in this one, surprisingly enough. We saw some issues, a little bit of desync, but a great finish for you. Now we come into a week break, and then following that, another iconic racing circuit in Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix. How are you looking for Japan ahead?
Yeah, it's never been a very good track for me, but maybe the week break, maybe I can take some more time to practice and get better at it.
Well, definitely looking forward to seeing how you race in Suzuka. Brainstew, congratulations again on the podium. Any last messages for the viewers before we move on to speak to Luke and Jeffrey?
Well, thank to all the supporters who always cheer for me in the chat.
Well, thank you very much for racing with us, of course, Brainstew, and thank you again, everybody in the chat. Congratulations, Brainstew, and we'll talk to you maybe in a couple of weeks for Suzuka.
Thank you.
That was Brainstew, everybody. Now, next up, we are going to be talking to Luke Smith. And, well, Luke is no stranger to interviewing and talking with us after these races. Some of these races go amazing. Some of them are a little bit frustrating. Luke, congratulations on... Well, we're not sure right now what happened there with the 5 seconds. Maybe give us a bit of a talk through what happened over on your end. Unicorn and I was seeing you with 5 seconds there across the line. You took the win in the Ferrari, but that penalty... putting you into second position under revision potentially. How are you feeling?
Well, my opinion of what I think is going to happen is that the Tifosi are going to be very happy with the FIA after this race, because I got a 5-second penalty for overtaking. I think it was Remco, who was desynced. So yeah, like there wasn't a lot I could do to not get the penalty, and I knew that if I just took it now or took it then and got it removed at the end because it doesn't look fair. I mean, you'd probably need to see the incident or see what happened, but yeah, it should hopefully get removed, and yeah, it's hopefully going to be the win for the Tifosi for the Ferraris at home, if I can speak.
It was a very intense battle with you and Richie there, coming all the way down to the end of the race, and it seemed like it just waged on forever. In the end, there was a little bit of tactics potentially coming out, some strategy play there. We saw a little bit of maybe, hey, no, you go, no, I want to go, maybe some DRS play, some exchanging. I think, from our view, there was an issue for Richie just in that last lap coming through Parabolica before beginning lap 27. How did you see things? Because you ended up getting ahead of him right there and then, and you kind of kept it for the entirety of lap 27. Just talk us through the final moments of this race and, well, the finish, really.
Well, I know Richie's always going to play games. I know him quite well, and yeah, I know the sort of things he's going to do. That's sort of something that comes with experience in league racing, because when if you're going onto the last lap at a track, say like Belgium or Monza, you always want DRS on the last lap so that you can overtake your opponent, but they can't re-overtake you. And what I was gonna do was try and get the DRS for the last lap, and Richie clearly didn't want to tow me along down the main straight. But yeah, he eventually got ahead, or was ahead before the detection zone, and then yeah, he just went quite wide at Curve Alboreto, and yeah, I was able to cut underneath and still had DRS to defend, so that was what made it a little bit easier at the end, and then I still had quite a fair bit of ERS, so yeah, that's how I was able to pull out the gap.
Well, great job in the end to you, of course. We got to see the Ferrari cross through to take the checkered flag and in lead of the race, and of course, Unicorn, any questions for Luke after that drive?
Well, Luke, just congratulations to me. I think, we've covered just about everything there. No safety car, probably a bit surprising, of course, but pole position, a potential race win, depending on which way the penalty sort of verdict goes for you. But yeah, no questions from me, but as always, huge congratulations to you. We get very frequently greeted by you here in the commentary box, and I'm sure if another opportunity presents itself for you to reserve, we'll be speaking to you again then. But congratulations, Luke, from me to you, and as always, thank you for taking out your time to come and interview with us afterwards as well.
Yeah, thanks, and let's hope those podiums keep on coming.
Yeah, definitely. Of course. Thank you very much, Luke, and congratulations on another. Well, it's either 25 or 18 points as far as things can be told. So we'll have to see how it falls, and see if you can come through and reserve for us or get a full-time seat soon.
Yeah, let's hope.
Alrighty, that was Luke. Now we are going to be joined by Mr. Jeffrey Richie, and what a race it was for this man right here in the Aston Martin. We just heard from the other half of what was a race-long battle between Aston Martin and Ferrari. Well, Richie, let's hear it. How are you feeling after that Italian Grand Prix?
I feel all right. It was all right. I don't know. It was a bunch of desync that happened earlier, so I don't know. Cars were kind of everywhere, but yeah, pulled away from the rest of the grid, and then we were just, I don't know, we were just cruising in front really, and whoever had the last DRS was gonna win basically. So yeah, not much strategy there.
Any comments on your slip up through? Was it a slip up? Was there an issue on the? It was just about to become that final lap, coming through turn 11, formerly known Parabolica. The Curve Alboreto. Looked like there was a bit of mind games going on there. We just heard from Luke about it. Did you slip up a bit and kind of drop off what you wanted to do there? Was there a mistake? Because it was a very intense battle right to the end. All eyes on you two, of course. Talk us through that last lap.
Yeah, last lap I was I had like 100% DRS, and I braked and then went left, but then while braking my rear kind of stepped out, and that last corner I just completely choked it. So from then on I was like 9/10 behind, and there was no chance anymore.
Well,
that was kind of a choke.
It was a very, very unfortunate situation to find yourself in at the end of a race, no doubt. Unicorn and I picked it up quite well. Unicorn, do you have any questions for Richie here after a very hard-fought drive?
Yeah, just nailed it on the head there, Richie. Obviously, very hard-fought, but you and Vexit, like you said, you sort of had that gap after the pit stops. You went a lap longer. And then obviously that gave you a bit of a gap to the 3 cars that were fighting behind, but neither of you were really using ERS. A lot of the times when you see someone ahead of someone in the DRS sort of environment, especially at a track like Monza, you see the front car burn off a lot more energy. Do you think it helped? Do you think Vexit was working with you a little bit to just try not to fight until the very end? Or did you just have the raw pace to not need the ERS because you look so comfortable, and where, usually you see the car behind harvesting, both of you were just, like you said earlier on, cruising throughout the race. So what was sort of your thought process in that sort of midpoint after the pit stop?
I felt like I definitely had the pace, even without having to use anything. There was, I'm very comfortable on the track, and I knew that he was also not going to use, so there was no point in using, we could both be using and gap the field by another 5 seconds or something, but there was no need for that. And I was actually trying to back him up a little bit into brains too, because maybe get somebody else involved and have a bit of more fighting going on, because our pace was just too fast to do anything really. It's just a 1v1, and who will get the DRS last will just win.
Well, Richie, a huge congratulations. Obviously, right now on the top step, we'll see what happens with the penalty situation. Stewards have got a lot to untangle after this one, but a huge drive from you, whatever the verdict is, a podium here at Monza. And as always, thank you for taking the time out to interview as well.
Yes, thank you.
That was Richie, everybody, and what a race. What a race. That is going to be it for our coverage this evening of the Tier 1 Italian Grand Prix for MRL Season 5. My name is Stryfium. Joining me here was Mr. Unicorn, of course, all the way from the UK, and really, really great racing that we got to see from all of the racers on this grid, save for a couple due to the desync, and of course those desync situations. Hopefully we'll find a solution, or we'll have some kind of fix for those coming through in the next couple of weeks, as we are now heading on to a bit of a week break where we'll take some time, regroup all the drivers, practice, rest, whatever they wish, and then we'll be back for Suzuka round 6. And I'm very much looking forward to Suzuka. It's one of my top 3 favorite racing circuits, I'll confess, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how all of these racers navigate the iconic S's of Suzuka up through Dunlop, and then who could forget the great 130R. So it's a great racing circuit, the figure 8 at that, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Unicorn, anything from you before we wrap things up and carry on ahead into the weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like you said, Suzuka, brilliant track. If it's anything nearly as good as what we've had here in Monza, it will be, you know, a week to remember. Like you said, break week, a little bit of time off for everyone. Like you said, rest, recovery, practice. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you all for the support earlier, the hype train. It always means the world to us when we see that kind of support coming through, and everyone just watching along, waiting with us through all the bugs and stuff. And like just said, hopefully there is a solution for those. But it'll be a couple of weeks until we're back, of course, for Tier 4 back in Suzuka. But until then, take care, and thank you all so much for watching.